Hey everybody, it's Kayla Butler, your favorite real estate agent, and
LaShawn Abraham, your favorite loan officer.
hey you guys, we're doing another video. I found this video to be really important. I kind of did one before on my own about self-employed borrowers during the tax season, but in this video, I want to cover what a self-employed borrower will need along with LaShawn. We're going to cover what you need as far as when it's time for you to qualify for a mortgage.
Okay.
A lot of the time, it's the same, but then it's kind of different for a person that's employed, W-2 worker. If you're a 1099 contractor or, you own your own business, you file your taxes a little differently than a person that would have a W-2. So I wanted to start off by asking LaShawn, what are some of the documents that's needed when you're applying for a home if you're self-employed?
Okay. So typically, if you're self-employed, it's 100% really based on your income. So the only way that we can verify how much income you make is by looking at your tax returns. So we're going to need at least 2 years of tax returns in order to verify your income, in addition to your last 2 months of bank statements and then a photocopy of your ID.
Okay, so those are really simple things, but I know a lot of places where people mess up is when they file that tax return, what they putting on there.
Yeah, so generally, if you are what I call a Schedule C borrower, and you are able to kind of state what you grossly made and then write off your expenses. Unlike when we're doing a W-2 employee, we qualify you based on your gross, but for self-employed borrowers, it's the opposite. We qualify you based on your net.
Ooh. And sometimes that net doesn't look really pretty. A lot of people take a whole lot of itemizations on that tax return. They're saying they're writing off that car, they're writing off gas, they're writing off mileage, they're writing off advertisement, they're writing off fee after fee after fee or expense after expense after expense. And by the time we look at that bottom number isn't too pretty. What my mom used to say is the bottom line. That bottom line number isn't the prettiest number. So you're saying that number at the end after they calculate all their expenses,
That's the number that we use for qualifying. So we'll look at whatever your actual, so really if you ever look at a Schedule C, if you're self-employed, it's called your profit and loss statement. So we look at to see if you actually, what your actual profit was or what your loss was. And so most people take a loss so that they can avoid taxes. Some people do declare a profit, but either that profit is very minimal that they show. So we'll look at whatever that profit number was for the last 2 years, and we take the average and we use that to qualify them.
So me as a real estate agent, what I suggest, and I also do taxes from time to time for people. I am a tax preparer. What I suggest is that you really be careful with what you choose to itemize. I'm not saying don't take away what you spent your money on, but sometimes you may want to take that hit and pay Uncle Sam so that you can have enough money to qualify for the home you may want, because not making enough money does affect your debt to income.
That's very true. At the end of the day, if you're wanting to, qualify for a house and, of a certain amount and things like that, you do have to, unfortunately, you have to show your income. You have to show how much money you make. And when you're self-employed, how you show how much money you make is based on the amount of money that you pay taxes on.
Yes.
And not necessarily, how much you grossed over the year. Because I know I have some people ask me, well, can't you just use my bank statements and kind of see my deposits that I'm bringing in that? Unfortunately, no, because that money is untaxable. And so we qualify you based on what you're paying your taxes on.
Okay. Well, any suggestions you may want to make to them as a mortgage lender?
My recommendation is, financial planning is very important. So sometimes you may just wake up and think, I just want to buy a house today, or definitely kind of plan it out. Like, hey, I want to prepare myself to buy a house the next year or 2 years from now. Sit down with your tax preparer or sit down with your CPA or whoever does your taxes and let them know hey, I want to start, getting ready to buy a house, so that they can start reporting your income, correctly or a little bit higher so that you can afford that house that you want. Definitely sit down, with a lender, real estate agent, get pre-qualified, pre-approved, so that way you can know what your range is, like how much income you're going to need to buy this house is what I would always recommend. So just plan it out. As long as you plan it out, then you kind of prepare yourself and show the income that you need to do for the for the loan amount that you are trying to accomplish.
Oh, and one more other thing I want to touch on before we end is that I have a lot of clients that go from being a W-2 employee to now just jumping all the way into being self-employed. What would you suggest to them before they take that jump?
If you're wanting to buy a house like within the next year or two, definitely don't do that, because once you switch, because I have people that tell me like say if they were, I don't know, a barber or something like that, and maybe you work for, a barber or, a salon, and they paid you a W-2, and all of a sudden you went out on your own because you're still in the same field of work. They feel like, well, shouldn't it count? But no, so the type of income has to be consistent. So you can't go from a W-2 to now you're self-employed, because now that all that 2-year history of receiving W-2 income is now gone. So you would have to start over and kind of wait until you can get a 2-year history of being self-employed before you would truly be eligible. So I always suggest, if you want to buy a house, don't really switch your line of work too much if you can help it, because it will affect the timeliness of you getting approved.
So you guys, before we end this video, we just want to say that it's important that you definitely schedule your appointment to meet with us. Let's get started on that financial planning, because you want to know exactly where you are.
Absolutely.
You don't know what you don't know unless you ask questions and you become informed on what you're trying to do. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. You can always reach out to me by phone, which is, my number is 843-471-0321, or visit my website, www.kaylabutler.com, or you can call LaShawn at
my phone number is 843-572-6203. I almost forgot my office number. I'm located at Ashley Phosphate, North Charleston.
All right, you guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.